Hi, I'm Kaleo, and welcome to Buon Appetito. And today we're making bagels. Good question. I've never been much of a baker in my cooking history. I've spent a lot of time in the kitchen, but baking was not something I've done a lot of. And for whatever reason, bagels just landed in my brain as something to try. And about, 7-8 years ago, I tried it for the first time. And I experimented. I did it a couple times over the course of a couple years. And a few years later, I came back to it. And in the last 3 or so years, I really tried to hone in on the recipe. So basically, bagels are flour, water, a little bit of yeast, and a little bit of seasoning, some salt. My recipe has a little barley malt. You can use sugar or honey, but it's just a little bit of sweetness, some salinity, and it's just flour and water. And it's pretty simple. It's a stiff dough. If you're following like baker's percentages, it's like a 50% hydration dough almost. It's really stiff. I use instant yeast. I use 3 grams with some flour and water, and then it rests for a couple of hours, and then a couple more grams of yeast with the addition of more flour, salt, and barley malt. And then you need that in the stand mixer for a little bit, but not too long because you don't want to break your mixer, and then finish by hand, and then you ball it up, and then you shape it. And then you put them to bed in the fridge, and they rest for overnight or up to 2 days. And then we're ready to boil and then bake. And that's it. Yep. Cut. 2 hours. And salt. And then we'll measure out some more flour to mix in with all of that. So we're just going to use the dough hook, put it on low speed. And just gradually add the flour. It's a really stiff dough, as I mentioned, so if you put it all in the mixer right away, you might break the motor. It's a strong motor, and obviously there are mixers that handle this kind of stiff dough, but I wouldn't trust it to do it 100%. Always leave back a little bit of flour just to see how this does. If we need to, we'll add the rest, or we'll add a little bit at a time when we need it by hand. So we'll just let this go for a few. So then we'll turn our dough out, start kneading it by hand. on this for like 6 to however many minutes. This will get pretty repetitive pretty quick. So there's 2 ways to shape it, just like I did. There's also an alternate to that where you then twist them and then close it up, and then they don't shrink up on themselves as much. Or there's a secondary way where you do it like that. I like the rolling it out better because I think it gets rid of some of the gas that's in there. It's like that's going to get really puffy. That was baking soda. And this is barley malt syrup. So we're carrying in some of those barley notes that are also in the dough. This could be honey. This could be agave. Could be molasses, maybe. And this is like, I don't know, 2 or 3 tablespoons of the barley malt. And so it's going to sweeten the water a little bit. It's also going to create some caramelization on the outside of the bagel when it bakes because of the sugar. And 1, 2, 3. And so I'll put these in for like 20, 30 seconds, sometimes 45 seconds per side. About 30. Flip. These are pretty puffy. You can see it kind of like breaking down a little bit. All right. Dutch. Let's go. Let's see the knees. Come back. Flip. So these have been in basically a minute in the water. Sometimes I'll let them in for longer, but they're so puffy that I didn't want to let them go too much longer. So these will get a different seasoning. Salt. Does Paolo like bagels? No. Sesame. This will just be puppies in there. Cool. Boom. Put these in. All right. Cool. Set these on a cooler. I didn't get a ton of color, but it'll be tasty. So you can see where, you know, these were not twisted, right? So they're a little, the ones that are a little more closed did not get twisted. And the ones that are a little more open, I think, did, but. Oh. So these are out of the oven. I did put a thermometer and they're just over 210 on the inside. They could have had a little more browning. Some of these got a little more brown than others, but they're definitely cooked. They need to cool for at least 20 minutes before you tear into it. I think all bread benefits from resting, just like lots of things. Once you cook it, benefits from resting. But these are done. Can't wait to put some cream cheese on them. All right, we're ready to serve our bagels. Which one do you want, Will? Everything?
Everything.
All right, here we go. Still a little warm.